beautiful people, Grand Rising, and welcome to Spiritual Situation. I am Jazzy James, the spiritual coach. And as you come in, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification so that you get notified when I am going live. Yes, because I am going to do my thing, okay? I'm going to do it. I'm here for my people. My people showed up for me. I'm showing up for them. You know, reciprocity, gratitude, gratitude. If you would like to donate to Spiritual Situation, my website can be found in the description. You can go to the website. You can support the business. It's a place on the website where you can donate. I also have a super chat here, and also I have my Cash App, Venmo, and I'll put the information in the description below the video. Um, and also, I'm going to make a video for members only of this voodoo, and we're going to go deeper into the study for those that want to go deeper and concentrate the voodoo study. So, this is just a basic introduction of voodoo because I want my people to understand when we were removed from the land and we were exiled out of our own land, that our culture was removed from us. Um, we know that God is the word. God is a supreme being. So our word is a supreme being. We know that the words that come out of our mouth is coming from the spiritual realm. So that is why we say that the spirit is giving forth a message because we are knowledgeable about where that message is coming from. We're knowledgeable about where that help is coming from. We're knowledgeable about where that wise counsel is coming from, right? Because we are the Magi Nation, right? Okay, so last night we learned a lot about how they removed the magic wand from our people. And the magic wand was being able to speak, being able to cast spells, being able to speak life, speak death, being able to use your sword, which is your dual nature. So we learned that you can't see the picture that well, but we learned that the colonizers, once they colonized us and once they studied us and found out how our magic works, how our culture works, our magic, our culture was used against us and it was controlled. Okay, now it's a monetized industry, better known as the music industry. Okay, so they control what you say. They control what you hear. They control what you think. Why? Because if you control the word, you control the nation. Okay, so we know that there is a spell that was cast on us as a people called the Willie Lynch letter. And when they cast that spell on us, they said, we got to get the woman off the land, because we was on the land. You remember this character here off of The Princess and the Frog, that is the mother, and she actually lived inside the swamp. She was actually creating gumbos with the herbs. She had knowledge of the herbs. She knew how to heal with the herbs. She knew how to conjure the herbs in order to heal somebody with it because it was about healing. Okay. She had knowledge about candle magic. She had knowledge about what to do in different scenarios when people would face disease, disorders, trials, tribulations, because people would come to the women for high counsel. People would come to the women for healing. People would come to the women because the women of the family were the mothers. These was the grandmothers. These was the great grandmothers. These were the aunts. These were the matriarchal head figures that took care of the family, the divine feminine energy, the mothers. And they practiced a religion called Voodoo. So we're going to learn some technical knowledge about voodoo. So here we go. Voodoo is something that just about everyone has heard or seen in movies or read about in books. The version of voodoo which is depicted in the movies or books is usually with regards to one genre, and that is horror. So when you see voodoo on the television, when you see voodoo on the television, you will see them they make it demonic. They make it evil. They make it scary. You know, they make it look wicked. They make it look evil. What they don't tell you is that this is somebody's culture. Okay? As y'all come into the room, can you please hit the like button? As you come into the room, can you please hit the like button? Please, gratitude. Okay, so um Hollywood would basically make this culture look wicked. So people did not want anything to do with their culture, especially when the church was created. Okay? Because before the church, people did voodoo. Before the church, people came together at somebody's house and somebody actually taught them this divination. This was a divine practice. This is an ancient ritual, an ancient art called culture. Um, we need to talk about what voodoo isn't to understand what it actually is. It is not black magic. It is not devil worship. It is not a cult. It is not sorcery. It is not occultist. And it's not intended for hurting people. It's not intended to control other people. That's what the movies in Hollywood would have people think. But that's one reason why I'm teaching this too, because people think it's demonic and it's evil, and it's not. Voodoo is a religion which has originated from the land, from the people of the land known as Africa, Zimbabwe, you know, the land that the people was living here doing this years before the colonizers gave you Catholicism, years before the colonizer gave you Christianity, right? Years. Okay, so the voodoo religion in America or Caribbean is actually a combination of different Catholicism, African, and Native American traditions. So voodoo is actually a collection of Native American. Did you hear the Native American part? Native American traditions, aka what the Indians were doing. Okay? The religion does not have any scripture or word authority like Catholicism. Voodoo focuses more on community, family centered experiences that support and empower. This is responsibility and individual experience. Voodoo is entirely different across different parts of the globe, from community to community. So depending on the type of people and what their morals are, what their values are, and what their principles are. So this is how they set up their system, and this is how they practice their divinity. So it depends on your knowledge. It depends on what you know, okay? On how you can practice it. Voodoo is all embracing and takes the entire human experience into account. So, the word voodoo or voodoo is said to have a benign origin, meaning a fearsome and mysterious kind of power. This power is said to possess the priest, who acts as the mouthpiece between the world and the spirits of the living. So when you become a voodoo priest, you become a vessel that the spirits speak through. So the spirits are your ancestors that have crossed over, they transitioned, they're no longer in the flesh. So we have been learning about the Ka and how the Ka is the spirit and the Ka is the shadow and the Ka never leaves the earth, and this is planet Ka. So this is a land that is full of spirits. We know that Canaan creates two models of us in our mother's womb, and one of those models is the Ka. Our Ka is also known as our shadow. We can see the shadow. We can look at the shadow. We can see the silhouette. Sometimes we will see a silhouette of someone else walk by, and we can be scared by that. We could be afraid of that. But that's where knowledge come in, that the Ka, which is the spirit, which is a part of your soul, will never leave the earth. Your Ka never leaves the earth. So when you become a voodoo priest, you actually get study knowledge, because the Bible says that you have to study to show thyself approval, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, and rightly dividing the word of truth. So in order for you to be a high priest, you're going to have to study. In order for you to be this high priest, you're going to have to actually initiate time into studying to be a high priest, to know why you doing this, to know why you doing that, to know what herbs are, what powers they have, what minerals these gemstones have, what um, connection is this spiritual animal with this, what does that message mean, what does these numbers mean, what do these planetary alignments mean. So once you start activating your wisdom, activating your knowledge, gathering your knowledge and wisdom and understanding, building it up, this becomes culture, supreme mathematics, right? So once you are able to create culture, then you're able to cultivate this religion, okay? Because this is culture. That's what it is. Voodoo is a culture, okay? Um, During the slave trade, the slaves communicated and worshipped with the ancestors. The slaves used the astrology system in order to escape slavery. So they had knowledge of astrology. Astrology was not considered wicked, it was actually considered a way of life, because if you did not know how to navigate the stars, then you could not find your way home. This was a compass. And if you lack knowledge of how to use this compass, then I guess you're going to be lost at sea, because this is how you navigate yourself through life, by being able to calculate the stars, being able to observe the stars, being able to have a relationship with the stars, because the ancestors are the stars. The ancestors come from the ethers. That is the Akash. Having knowledge of what the sky is takes your knowledge further. See, a lot of people don't have knowledge of the Akash. Therefore, they can't tap into the Akashic records. See, if you have knowledge of the Akash, you have knowledge of Sirius Star, you have knowledge of how to travel the stars, how to navigate the stars, how to speak and communicate with the stars. Then the stars start communicating through you. So the stars give you light, correct? That light we call a beacon. So these beacons are invisible cords that come from the stars in the sky that we can't see, but it is a connection. Because don't we call the sky the heavens? We say when people die that they go to heaven. So the skies are the heavens. Our ancestors, when they transition and they leave the physical form, they ascend into what is known as a gas form. So when they turn into this gas form, because that's science, when they turn into this gas form, they become a star. And when they become a star, a celestial body, a celestial being, they begin to lead us and guide us. But if we lack knowledge of how to navigate the stars, if we lack knowledge of how to speak astrology, which is the secret language of the stars, then we cannot practice nor perform our voodoo rituals and rites, nor can we access our culture, nor can we be one with the universe because we're disconnected because we lack knowledge. You understand that? Greetings, greetings. You understand how my people are not connected to the source because they lack knowledge of what the source is and they can't connect to it because they lack knowledge of it. Um, More history of voodoo that one might come to believe. Voodooists have different beliefs, but the main article of faith is that the universal energy and the soul, which leaves the body during dreams and spirit possessions, whereas the Arabic belief, or as Islam or Christianity, a spiritual property is thought to be as an act of satanic or demonic entity. Whenever you do spiritual acts that people do not understand, they label it as demonic or satanic. So this is how voodoo got labeled demonic or satanic because people lacked knowledge and did not understand what was going on. So when people don't understand something, they automatically label it demonic. So a lot of things that you think are demonic is because somebody else lack knowledge of it. So they pass that lack of knowledge to you. So therefore you gotta get knowledge. You can't just let people keep putting that your culture is demonic. You have to actually take some time out and study your culture. Because people walking around with daishikis on and they lack knowledge that's voodoo. Why? Because the daishiki has the patterns of the DNA genetic bloodline. You was attracted to that daishiki because you saw your bloodline in it. But if you lack knowledge that they actually create those patterns out of DNA, then you wouldn't know that. You got people walking around with jewelry on, and they don't even know that the jewelry holds energy. They don't even know that the jewelry has healing properties. They don't even know that the jewelry can be a talisman. The jewelry can be a amulet. The jewelry can actually have a possession of a spirit within it that someone before you that actually owned that jewelry could have had in their possession. And because they had it in their possession, their DNA is in it, their energy is in it. So then when you come along and you put on this jewelry and these cells actually activate your cells, now this spirit that's inside of this jewelry is interacting with your spirit. Now you starting to get messages. Now you starting your intuition kicking in. Now you starting to recall and remember things, but you don't even realize that you touched a relic. So this is why the voodoo priests, they would keep articles that belong to the ancestors. You know, if you look on the table here, he has different candles. He has a sigil on the table. Um, he actually has he got the baby praying with him because he's teaching the next generation. He's passing on his knowledge. He has herbs there, and he knows why the herbs are there. He could tell you why the herbs are there. I'm sure he has gemstones there because you have to have a part of the earth if you're gonna have fire. Then you have to have water, because that's the element of the earth, right? And then you have to have um, air, so you want to have your incense, right? Because you want to have all the elements of the earth present when you are at your altar. Why? Because if your ancestors are nature, you definitely want to have the earth there. So that means if you have soil from the grave, you understand why people go get graveyard dirt now? But they don't just go steal the graveyard dirt. They actually leave offerings at the graveyard. They actually go to their loved one's grave site. They actually take their loved one silver dimes. They take them ancestor money. They take them fruit. They take them food. They take them um, liquor, cigarettes, candies, things that they actually liked when they were here on earth, because this is called veneration, ancestor veneration. So, if you were to go to New Orleans where culture is still rich, um, you would see fruit at the cemetery. You would see flowers at the cemetery. You would see where people have actually took their time out and prepared this fruit, cut it up, made it look beautiful, put love into it, actually drizzled honey on it, right? Actually um chose different types of fruit. They actually did research and know what type of fruit to dedicate to their loved ones. They didn't just watch somebody else chop up fruit and then they opened up a can of fruit, threw it on a plate, and was repeating. No, it was a culture. You know what I mean? It was a work of art. They actually learned why they were doing this. They actually took time out to put cinnamon there because they knew what cinnamon do. They put herbs there because they knew what the herb do. They put the mint there because they know what the power of mint is. They put vanilla because they knew the power of vanilla. They was sweetening up something in their life by going to their ancestors. And this is the practice that they were doing. So you got to have knowledge of this culture. You got to have knowledge of this practice, knowledge of why this is that, why that is this. Why? Because that's what's going to make your practice powerful. Okay? When you able to venerate your ancestors with purpose, with meaning, with power. That's what we tell them, rest in power, right? You're able to venerate them in power first by learning what is ancestor veneration. Because once you learn about voodoo, you're going into ancestor magic. You're going into ancestor veneration. You're going into learning about your ancestral realm. Okay? Um, and your ancestors are going to be the one that lead and guide you because they're internal and they're inside of you. So that means you got to stop listening to the false religions and false indoctrinations outside of you that stop you from listening to what's within you. Because even if you read the Bible say the kingdom of heaven is within you. Correct? Okay, so um during the Haitian Revolution, the Haitians actually used voodoo to liberate themselves from slavery. So not only will voodoo is our ancient rite. Voodoo is what we practice as our magic. Voodoo is our power. Voodoo is how we get out of slavery. Okay? Um but a lot of people are afraid of voodoo, so they're not going to, they just going to be helpless and lack knowledge because they're afraid of their own culture. So they're not going to use their culture to liberate themselves. That's a shame. It's a shame. Um, Let me enlighten you a little more on voodoo. Um, so Voodoo is a religion which has been around for as long as time, but has been a fetish for many. Voodoo has lived in fear. Voodoo is lived in fear throughout history due to the existence of fundamental Christians and Christianity. So, A lot of people that actually practice voodoo have to practice the art in secret. Because if you notice, a lot of people that are aware of voodoo, if you go on the internet and you doing voodoo in front of everybody, they will say something to you. Why? Because they was taught to practice it in silence. They was taught to practice it in secrecy. They was taught that people should not see your practice. Why? Because people would judge you. People would say you wicked. People would say, people would say things about you because they don't understand. So this is why a lot of our grandmothers and great grandmothers would hide the practice from us because they didn't want us to judge them. They didn't want us to know what was going on because that's how they taught it back then. You just don't elaborate on what you're doing. Um, the evil image which has been promoted by the media about voodoo, the religion consists of several gods who are worshipped. Hollywood has shown a wrong depiction of religion, making it one of the most misunderstood religions. Here are a few myths and facts surrounding voodoo. Okay, so voodoo dolls. One of the most popular myths which people like to believe about voodoo dolls, which is only from the truth. Voodoo dolls are much more complicated than portrayed in the movies. It doesn't necessarily symbolize a person. So I do know that you could get a voodoo doll to venerate your ancestors. Um, you could get a voodoo doll for healing. You could get a voodoo doll to represent all the women in your family because it's a symbolic figure. Um, you can put voodoo dolls on your ancestor altar as protection. When people come over your house and see voodoo dolls, honey, and if they heart ain't right, I'm gonna tell you one thing: they not gonna come back to your house. Why? Because they saw that voodoo doll, and that's gonna scare the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because they lack knowledge. So, oh well, you didn't put a pin in it. You didn't hurt nobody. You didn't cast one spell. You didn't use one drop of blood. But therefore, you sitting that in your house. People gonna respect your man. You understand? Protection mechanism. Um, Not only that, the fact that voodoo dolls are also for healing. So, back in the day, like let's say somebody had a headache. So they would get a pen, they would get the herbs that's used for a headache. Um, they would probably write a note, God, let the headache go away. They'd get like a they'll write a little scripture or something, get a little psalm, put it in there. Um, That's what the scrolls represent. When you see the little scrolls and they roll it up like a little scroll, tie a ribbon around it, the color of the ribbon will have a meaning. The way they rolled it up will have a meaning. Um, they would take that, pin it, and probably pin it to the forehead, put some oil on it, and pray over it. Speak life over it. And that was considered magic. So they performing this work on this doll to break your fever, or performing work on this doll to get rid of your illness that you going through, or so they was using these dolls for healing. And that's what made it magical because it was manifestation, it was alchemy. They actually understood the knowledge. They didn't just make a voodoo doll and just work on it. They actually had knowledge of what they was doing with it. You understand? So they wasn't just sticking pins and needles everywhere and saying stuff. They actually knew what they was doing. It's just on the way they show it on TV, they don't make it look like that. So we don't know what's going on. Um let's see here. Um, so in voodoo, they have a hongan is a priest of voodoo. It's a spiritual leader. A hongan acts as a community leader, as a well and religious leader. He serves many functions with society. He maintains ultimately authority over the community. So this is like the patriarchal father, a high priest, right? And he would actually step in and help the men, because he know that he a leader in the community. So he would step up and show men how to live upright. Step up and show men how to practice their rituals. Step up and show men how to get the herbs, what the herbs do, how to heal. Um, in Haitian voodoo religion, they have a voodoo priest named Bookman from Hades. You should look up Bookman. Bookman. His mama was a high priest, but his name Bookman. Look him up. Um, each society. So this is a spiritual leader. When you see the different um videos of the people practicing the rituals, you will see them like they all have on white. Um, they have a big feast. They have all this food on the table. They dedicate a lot of the food to the ancestors. Um, you would see a man leading and you would see a woman leading. And the man is the Hogan and the woman is the Mambo. Okay? Uh, or they call the man a Babalao too. It just depends on what type of voodoo is being practiced here because it's many different types of voodoo, right? It's many different types of ways to practice it. Um, Mambo is an initiated female priestess. A Mambo is equally in every relation to her male counterpart, the Hogan. She summons the voodoo Loas to foresee the future or to heal. So, like someone who can read, somebody like how we do readings and we help each other heal with readings, or so that's our culture. This is divination, to be able to speak to the spiritual realm and let people know that they need to work on healing things, or let people know that they need to work on things, because it's a lot of people that say don't get readings. Readings are evil, readings are wicked, but they lack knowledge about voodoo and how the ancestors do communicate through high priests. The ancestors do communicate through people that do have knowledge of what's going on. Because if they just come communicate with you and you don't know they communicating with you, they wasting their time and energy because they not getting anywhere because you lack knowledge. You don't know what's going on. But if you know what's going on, they can work with you, you know. Um, so dancing, chanting, um, playing the drums, playing musical instruments, playing the rattles, religious drums, tambourines. All of this possesses the laws. The laws, his or her T bondage or soul, has their left body and their spirit, has left their body and the spirit sees control. The dancer begins to go in a trance and perform just as a Lord would. So, being possessed by the Lords. Okay, so who are the Lords? The Lords, in the New World Voodoo, the spirit or Lords are forces of nature, divided into three major groups: the Radas, the Petros, and the Gedi. They are extensions of power, the Bondi, the supreme cosmic God, and the whole doctrine of the universe. We do not reverence the laws as gods. We serve them so that in turn they help us. They serve as mediators between individuals and bodies. It is realistic to state that laws are ancestors. The belief of voodoo as practiced in New Orleans is continuously growing, shifting, continuously adding new laws to the shrine of the pantheon, such as the spirits of the ancestors. The laws, okay. So the Native Americans, Black Hawk, White Hawk, and other Lors who resided and passed in New Orleans, like Marie Laveau, Dr. John, because they are literally thousands of Lors, only the most prominent and best known are described. So Lors are literally your ancestors. So when you go back and call them by their name, you are actually working with the lower, because now that they're an ancestor, they're a lower. An ancestor is a rites of passage. We have rites of passage in our life. We have a right to be born. That's your conception. That's when Kanum creates you inside the womb. Kanum fashions you inside the womb. Um, as Kanum fashions and creates you, excuse me, inside the womb, that is your right to be born. So being born is actually a rites of passage. Growing up into a young adult is a rite of passage. So we actually had a ceremony when somebody was born. We had a ceremony when somebody went into puberty. A lot of other cultures do this still. We don't do it because we don't have culture. Our culture got stole from us, but we need to get our culture back. Because when a young lady has her cycle and she gets her first cycle, all the women in the village should give her gifts. The women in the village should all tell her something about being a woman. The women in the village should love on her. They should teach her about her cycles. They should teach her about motherhood. They should teach her about womanhood, right? Because that's your rites of passage. And a lot of us as women have no idea how to be a woman because nobody, the women before us, did not teach us how to be a woman because we don't have culture. This is built in communities. This is built in families. This is built in generational wealth, culture. Teaching your daughters how to take care of themselves. Teaching them about how their yoni. Teaching them about their womanhood, their reproductive organs. Then, on the other hand, we had sons. So we had to have a rites of passage for our sons. When our sons come into manhood, they was to go out in the woods with the men and they learn how to be a man from men. And the men come together and they teach a man how to be a man. They teach a man how to take care of himself, how to love himself, how to be a man. And we missing that in our communities. And a lot of our communities are corrupted, so you don't want to leave your child with these corrupted people. So we have to heal first, so we could be a healed people that can help each other heal. Now that's power. Now that's power. Okay, so these lords, Rada Lord spirits, because it's three types of lords, right? Lords are ancestors. Rada lords, RADA, Rada lords are typically older, more beneficent as many of these spirits. The Rada lords are mainly water spirits. Many of the Rada laws generally are served with water. In addition to their colors, these were spirits that were honored by the slaves who were captured and transported into the New World. The Rada became the main spirit within the later religion. Rada laws features identities with the color white. They are associated with the holy day of Thursday. Rada laws are regularly also have petrol aspects. Okay, so then you have Agui, Agwe. Agui Lord is symbolized as the sea. He is the protector of fishermen and sailors. Agui offerings consist of champagne, liquors, coffee with sugars, creams, cakes, white wine, white sheep, white rams, white goats, white roosters, model ships, sugar cane, rice cooked in coconut milk, melons, boiled cornmeal, ripe fried bananas, and ducks. So you would prepare meals for this Lord if you need to work with agui concerning if you're working with the sea. If you are a fisherman or a sailor and you need to be protected, that's who you're gonna call on. Um, we have Ayida Wido, Ayida Wido, and this is the wife of Dambala. Um, she is a rainbow snake. She can take the form of a snake. So offerings that you make to her consist of rice pudding, whipped cream rice, eggs, and milk. Basically, she craves white foods, even sweetened cakes with a lot of milk. Offerings in the form of snakes, rainbows, or adorned with rainbows. She loves rainbows. Um, she's associated with water and cotton. So you have these different laws, um, and how you contact them, how you get into it. So that's we'll get into more of that in the members only class when I said we'll get more in depth on how to do this and what's going on. But I just wanted to introduce voodoo to us as a people because a lot of us are afraid of this. A lot of us are afraid of our culture because we don't understand it. So we don't understand why our grandma was in the kitchen making up all these cakes and all these meals and making all these offerings. Our ancestors had cookbooks. They would have cookbooks with many different. They knew how to make all type of meals, and this makes you tap into your creativity because now you got to learn how to get creative and learn how to cook for these ancestors. So this is going to activate your culture. This is going to activate your inner grandmother. This is going to activate your inner big mama. Why? Because this is going to have you in the kitchen with your moo on. This is going to have you in the kitchen actually clanging and clinging pots and pans together, making noise, making vibrations, making foods, bringing people together, bringing communities together, working with people, being magical. So you see what voodoo is all about and how our grandmas used it to heal people. Okay, so I give gratitude to y'all for watching. So like the video, share the video, you know. Um, but like I said, I got more videos coming because we going to get deeper into this for those people that want to get deeper into it, okay? So when the videos that I will be doing in the membership only class, those are more or less classes. So we actually learn candle magic. We actually learn the herbal magic. We going to get into it. But it's just be on the membership only classes because we going to concentrate it more. But gratitude to everybody. So I will talk to y'all beautiful, beautiful people real soon. So look forward to me putting that up because I'm getting started. All right. Peace.